And Mufasa. Rain spread good vibes.
Where that way?
Around the world.
Around the world?
Around the world.
Around the world?
Around the world. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Empire 161 show. Exactly. It's got you catch it in your head, right? A bit there. Season 5, episode 15. We're off for a few weeks there, but we are back, and I know the Austin Wells thing kind of like dropped a little while ago, but whatever. It's still vibing here. I mean, he's still making a great case for the AL Rookie of the Year now. But yeah, thanks for joining us as always on this Sunday evening. If you're joining us in the Facebook live stream, or if you're joining us on YouTube, or if you found your audio-only podcast, we always appreciate the support. And I am Ed, and with me as always is Lisa. Lisa, what is up? How's it going? It's been so long since I've seen you.
I know, but we saw each other today. We got to hang out and go to the game, which had a very good outcome for us. And I'm just going to throw this in there. My football team also had a really good outcome, and I don't get to see it a lot, so I had to say it out loud. So, but it was really, really nice to see you today and to go to another game, and it was gorgeous out. My God, the last week and a half in New York has been like chef's kiss, perfect weather. And I wish it were like that all year long, but alas, we do not live in San Diego. So we did get to enjoy great weather, and I think we have like another day or two of it before it gets a little sketchier. But we have a lot of things to talk about. We're going to talk about the series versus the Royals, and then this recent series versus the Red Sox. Spoiler alert, both series went our way, thank God. We're also, I think, going to talk about, and I have feelings about this, and I'm sure Ed does too, the stupid helmet ads that are coming to the postseason.
Yes.
We're gonna do a little bit of history on Hispanic Heritage Month, which starts today. Shout out to all my fellow Latinos and Latinas out there. And we're gonna, do our little recap of both series. So Ed, where would you like to kick it off?
I was gonna go ahead and let's just say, well, actually, maybe we can just briefly just mention the ads that will be universal across Major League Baseball. So we did drop it on our Facebook page, but basically a story that dropped a day or two ago. Major League Baseball is going to have these universal ads for like Strauss. It's like this German company that, I don't know. They sold it out.
It's not even an American company.
Listen, they're gonna take whatever.
God.
So these stickers will basically be appearing on all helmets, and yes, I know there was a little bit of confusion at first, which were they going to be actually wearing those goofy red and blue helmets? I mean, God, no. I mean, at least to my understanding, unless they really went to the next level. But no, I think it'll be stickers that are seen on them. I mean, we've seen this before with the London series games, and yes, ironically, I am wearing my London series hat. They've had that, and any kind of international games when the Yanks have played in Japan and stuff like that, they start slapping on extra ads, and it's almost their way of like seeping this into us accepting it here, because it's happening. The jerseys all have the patch on the sleeve, and now we have the helmets, and I don't know. I really just don't want it to look like NASCAR. I mean, that's my main concern. My guess is personally, and at least I'll throw to you for your full comments on it. My guess is that's probably going to piss me off this postseason. Now, if things go the Yankees' way, then I'll probably forget about it, and that'll be the end of it. But I think it'll probably, like always, it blends into the background, and we won't care in like a year or two. And that's what they're hoping for, right? Like that it'll just be normalized, and that's it. Like the Star insurance packages, right? It was a story last year. Some people were jumping off their house about it. I never was, because I just kind of feel like or the Yankees also, right? In Major League Baseball, there's patches for something on their sleeves for whatever it is, right? And granted, it wasn't an advertisement previously, but now it is a sponsor and an advertisement. So I don't know. I didn't care. Plus, with the Yankees one, it's blue and white, so it kind of blends in with the uniform.
Yeah,
Now,
the Yankees got lucky.
They did, and the thing is, I think like the Mets actually, kudos to them because originally when they had New York Presbyterian, it was like red and white, and they pushed back on it.
It was also like this big, like it was huge.
Yeah, it was nuts. And the thing though is that it didn't blend in with their uniforms. And I get there's a fine line between the advertisers want it to stick out, right? Like that's the point. We're paying you this money, so people will notice it. But I think there's also a compromise where the Mets got it changed over to the Mets colors, and they're like, all right, well, we're going to wear it, but we're going to have it not look as and it's shrunk down. You're right, and I think that's the middle ground, right? And this is going to stick out. It's a red and white sticker, so unless it's like the Phillies helmets, you probably won't notice it that much because they're red and white helmets, and it'll just blend in, and that'll be that. The Yankees, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb, and that's going to be it. But I do think is that, over time, we're not going to care. We're watching postseason baseball, and that will be that. I don't know. It's whatever. I just want it to be not go over the line of, again, NASCAR looking shit where the jerseys are plastered with it. I know the WNBA does that as well. I mean, they also, are a younger league who needs to drive revenue further. The older leagues don't necessarily need to, but if corporations are going to corporate. That's what they do, right? Like they're not good. There is no enough money. Like it doesn't exist. So that's where I stand. Lisa, what are your thoughts on this helmet sticker stupidity?
I think I need to see what a Yankee helmet is going to look like because the 3 that they put up on a picture make it look like Little League helmets.
Yeah.
And I hate those. So, listen, you go to a game and everywhere you look in a freaking stadium, and for some stadiums, even the name of the stadium is a sponsor. Citi Field, Target Field.
Oh, majority of them are. Yeah, like, we're one of the exceptions.
I know. So, but like you go to a field and you see, like the Yankees have 800 car sponsors already. How many different official cars of the Yankees can there be? And they're putting things, when you watch it on TV, they green screen ads on the mound, on that like rectangular thing behind the batters. They put it on the bases. They were advertising movies on the bases at one point.
Yep.
Like, what is enough going to be enough? How much more money does MLB need to make? And I get it. MLB is also a corporation, so they're trying to make as much money as possible. You saw the uniform debacle that already happened. The good thing, I will say this. The one thing I respect is that they roll something out. And if there is major pushback, they will adjust, right? Because it took a little while, but they made a compromise with the uniforms. And they said they were going to, I don't know if they were going to revert back, whatever. We talked about it. I can't remember. But they said they were going to make adjustments to it because everybody hates the new uniform. And they're cheap and they rip and blah, blah, blah. So I just hope that they, like if this becomes a big deal, that they do make adjustments to it if that's the case. I also want to know, like, why this Strauss company? Like,
they paid the most money. That's what I'm guessing. You're
telling me there's no American companies or like I didn't know there were that many German people that play and watch baseball. No offense to Germans, but like I just didn't know that it was a big thing in Germany. So,
nope. My guess is probably not a lot. And I mean, again, actually just thinking about it, I was in Germany just a year ago, and there was nothing. I mean, granted, I was there for the NFL, so I can't, when I went to London for the London series, I mean, yes, there was a push for Major League Baseball there and stuff like that. A lot of people there they're just getting introduced to it.
Right, because soccer or what everybody else in the world calls football is a bigger thing in Europe, like massive.
Yeah, and basketball would probably be like the number 2 to it because I mean basketball is also a fairly international game as well. And baseball again, baseball and football, and they want to become that eventually. Like that's what they're hoping for, and that's what this push is for. But again, I am a little weary on where the line is going to be drawn. Like the Star Insurance stuff, the fact that you have to pay an extra couple of bucks, and I haven't seen that sign in a stadium, so I started wondering if they nixed that. Because remember back on opening day, it was like for an extra $10 or something, $15 it was, or some crap like that. You got to get your Star Insurance patch on your jersey when you bought a jersey.
Nobody wants that.
I was like, oh, it's a discount then, because I don't want it on my jersey actually. So if I can opt to not have it, I will choose that every single time. I don't need that to be on my jersey. I'm good.
I am not advertising for Star Insurance unless I get Star Insurance for free.
If they start selling the jerseys and that's the only way to get them, then I mean, that's just the way they should have done it. Rolled it out.
Yeah, they should have made it that yes.
Give me the option.
Because I will and say that it costs more, then no, thank you.
Yeah, hell no. I'm not paying extra for your advertisement. It's not how this works. You slap it on there and you just charge $15 extra and don't tell me, then we're just gonna go do it and that's it. You shouldn't have. That was just stupid. Like, really? But yeah, you gave me an easy way out for it. Or if it gets to a point where it's too far, that's where I stop buying new jerseys, and I will just have Mitchell and Ness throwback jerseys or the ones that I have, and that's it. I don't need new jerseys then. End the story. Like if it gets to a certain point, right now, I don't count the Nike swoosh to be honest with you because they make the jersey, so that's just the way it works. And again,
so like when you're talking about sponsors, Nike makes sense.
Well, no, I agree with you, but they make the jerseys. So they get to. I mean, look, there's, I don't know. They get to Homage gets to put their H on a T-shirt and they're going to sell it to you because they make it. That's fine. They need to let people know. Oh, that's a cool shirt. I wonder what the kind of shirt it is. Oh, what's the H? Homage. Oh, okay. I need to go to their site. That's how advertising works. But if we're going to start getting to the WNBA levels, because that's the example I'm going to go to, because that's the professional sports league in America right now that does go pretty far with it, I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't. I'm not going to just be a billboard for 5 different advertisers, just because I'm wearing a sports jersey. Like we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I don't know. It's interesting. I'll just say it that way. But yeah, now they've slipped through the one on the sleeve. Now it's helmet. Right, and this actually began because the New Era caps, right, like that I got on, the New Era flag did not exist before. I think it was like 2016, and then suddenly the postseason hats had the flag on it, and I was like, and I gotta admit, at first I was jarred by it, and then I needed a new regular hat because my regular hat got messed up, and I bought it. Now they all have it, and that's what it is. Well, that's what you're wearing is a little different.
Mine's Harry Potter, so that's also an advertisement.
Well, which is different though, because that's a stadium giveaway. That's the point of it, right? Like, I get that part, but it's when you're purchasing it, is when you're supposed to technically be like, I paid money for this, so therefore the advertisement is over. But every corporation in every field has gone past that now. And they're pushing and pushing and pushing, and we'll see. Did you ever see the movie Idiocracy?
No.
Okay. You get a chance, by the way. Really funny movie, older movie. But in that movie, though, everyone's clothing is basically a walking billboard for everything. And it's just making fun of, again, corporate America and stuff like that. So I just don't need to get to there. That's where I don't want us to end up in 5 years. We're talking about It's like the Yankee logo got moved to the sleeve, and then it's like Toyota in the front of it. Like, just no.
The Toyota Yankees. Oh my God.
No, it would just be Toyota took over. Like the English Premier jerseys, they have the big logo on it, and the team's name is like over here, like a little patch on the side. Like, do you play for their corporate team or something like that? And that's how does this work? So that's just can't go there, man. Cannot go there. That goes for Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL. All of you, don't go past a certain point, because then you're going to piss people off.
They already are.
No, they're pissing people off, but not enough to like stop buying the jerseys. Period. I promise you. You start doing that kind of shit where the team's name becomes secondary, you're gonna piss people off, and then they're not gonna buy. That's where the revolt, like the pushback, would really begin. And like you mentioned earlier, that's where they would be forced to adjust and maybe roll back this thing. Don't go past the sleeve. Don't go past any of that. Like I own a Chicago Bulls jersey that has a patch on it. It was also like 70% off, which is why I purchased it. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But I wasn't willing to do it. At the time, that was the only jersey I owned that had anything on it. That still is the only one I have that has anything on it. Because I had mentioned no star insurance at all, but they re-signed Juan Soto, then I will be looking to a gray Yankees jersey. But I will wait until they fix the jersey problem. Because I don't need it. I don't need to put it in the wash one time and then it doesn't come back out. That's it. It's just it's over. That's it. It's your Soto jerseys, no more. All right, and I guess the next thing we did want to discuss before we get into our recap was Hispanic Heritage Month, as Lisa had mentioned, does begin today, which I learned earlier today because I assumed that it started on September 1st and was like, oh, okay, so it is September. But Lisa had educated me that apparently it is, to a certain point, is 15th to the 15th.
Yep, and I have the reasons why, too.
Let's go.
All right. So as I had mentioned, Hispanic Heritage Month starts on September 15th and it goes through October 15th. And if you're wondering why, it is because several Latin American countries have their Independence Day today. So Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And then Mexico has theirs tomorrow, and Chile has theirs on September 18th. Yep. So Ed is part Chilean, and I am full Puerto Rican. People would probably say a little too much, but I don't care because I love being Puerto Rican. So even though I celebrate Hispanic Heritage every day of the year, I take really big pride in having a month to like really hone in on it and have people learn more about our cultures. And my birthday is in the month too. So my birthday is part of Hispanic Heritage, which if you know me, makes sense. But it's celebrated every year during that time period, and it recognizes the contributions and influence of Hispanic and Latin Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States. This year's theme is Pioneers of Change, Shaping the Future Together. And I did a little bit of digging and found that in Major League Baseball, 30.2% of players identify as Latino or Hispanic as of 2023. Latino and Hispanic players make up 5.5% of Hall of Fame members. And the Yankees have the third most Latin American players on their team. The Houston Astros had the most in 2022. I did not, and I think I read that the Chicago Cubs were the second place team. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me. But I went through the Yankees roster and I looked up people's ethnicities. So really quickly, here are the players on the Yankees that are of Latin American background, whether they were born in that country, or they're, like I'm Puerto Rican American. So we have Nestor Cortez Jr. He's Cuban American. Luis Gil is Dominican. Carlos Rodon is Cuban American. Marcus Stroman is Afro-Latino and Puerto Rican. Jose Trevino is Mexican-American. Oswaldo Cabrera and Gleyber Torres are both Venezuelan. Jason Dominguez and Juan Soto are Dominican. Alex Verdugo is Mexican-American and white. And Giancarlo Stanton is Irish, African-American, and Puerto Rican. And just in case, and I might have missed some players that joined the team and some players that obviously are no longer on the team that were not on this list. And just in case you're wondering, Lisa, why do you say Latino and Hispanic? Isn't that the same thing? Some people, like me, prefer being called Latina or Latino, and some people, or Latinx, and some people prefer to be called Hispanic. While it's called Hispanic Heritage Month, it's not called Latino Heritage Month. It's just because that flows better, I guess. But some people think that Hispanic only represents places that were colonized by Spain, right? So colonization is not the best word in the world when you think of what it means. So a lot of people from Latin backgrounds do not want to be called Hispanic because they don't think that's a great representation. So just a quick history thing. The island that my family comes from was extremely indigenous with Taino Indians. And when we were colonized, just like other places that were colonized, the indigenous population was kind of written off in not so pleasant ways. So while we do still have Taino Indians, and I have Taino blood in me, in my island, it's a very low percentage compared to what it was before it was discovered. So that's why some people like me prefer Latino, Latina, Latinx over being called Hispanic. Just in case you, as a listener, were wondering why I used both words.
Nice. And today was Roberto Clemente Day.
And today was
we were breaking our brains at the game, trying to figure out why it was actually today. And it took us a while because we were really going down the list of what we thought would be the case.
And it wasn't his date of birth. It wasn't the date of his death. It wasn't the date that he hit his 2000th hit. It wasn't the day he retired from baseball. And then I realized, oh, duh, it's because today's the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yeah, we were really trying to figure that one out for a minute, which was pretty cool, though, by the way. So there were players who throughout Major League Baseball that wore number 21 today. The Yankees, there was four. There was Judge, there was Stanton, there was Soto, Trevino, Stroman, and Anthony Rizzo was also. Anthony Rizzo was also.
Stroman and Rizzo didn't play. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was all the ones that were listed right there. And Rizzo also, it would make sense too, is that he also wears the patch on the back of his hat. You see, he has won the Roberto Clemente Award previously.
Yes, which reminds me, Marcus Stroman is our representative this year, and you have to go and vote for him so that he can hopefully win the award, which I think would be great. And he does a lot of work with youth, and he's a New Yorker. He was born and raised in Medford, and I think it's really awesome that he gives back and works with youth and shares his story as a man of color that plays the sport. And I know that our friend Raul has a couple comments, so let's see what he said.
Yeah, so Raul, thanks for checking us out as always. Raul says, I think that MLB should retire number 21 because Roberto Clemente contributions to the Hispanic community. I am a little bit biased. Que viva Puerto Rico.
Yep, I am biased too, Raul, and I totally think that as well. I actually asked that about that earlier today because I couldn't remember if it had been done or not. I totally think his number should be retired across the league too. And I'm also biased because I'm also Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, I know that there was like discussions about that and stuff like that. So I don't know how far it's actually gotten, but I mean, they've kept it at 42 has been the only one so far. And across the leagues, I mean, 42 is retired throughout baseball. 99 is retired throughout the NHL, but that's because of Wayne Gretzky. And they just figured he was like their GOAT, and that was it. And then actually LeBron James was pushing for the NBA to retire at 23. in honor of Michael Jordan, and that hasn't, and number
If
6 is
you're
the one.
gonna, oh, number 6. What? Sorry.
Number 6 is retired.
Who is number 6?
Bill Russell, who
Bill
passed
Russell.
away. Yeah,
Yes.
that
yes.
was just happened like last season.
If you're gonna argue for 23, don't you have to argue for 24?
I mean, I'm not. Well, the reason I would say the case for wouldn't hold up the same, simply because yes, I mean, with all due respect to Kobe Bryant, I don't know of many basketball fans who would put him on the Michael Jordan. I mean, maybe maybe that generation who grew up and saw him as that. But I mean, for the overall status of the NBA, I don't think there's that. Plus, Kobe also wore 2 different numbers.
Yeah.
He
Well, so
wore
did Michael.
24 and 8. So I mean, I also do think that there's a slippery slope that you will go down if you continue retiring numbers throughout the entire league. Like you have to kind of draw the line somewhere at some point. I do not saying that 21 doesn't, because 21 and that's they were, it was more than just the game, right? Like the quality of the actual baseball player.
The
Right?
human
Like
being. The
yeah,
human
exactly.
being.
On
Yeah.
top of being a great player,
Yeah.
it was that, right? And I'm not, and again, I'm not getting into, Kobe Bryant as a person or anything like that and stuff like that. But I just think you can't keep on going, retiring every single all-time great, because then it becomes into like, who is that person? Where is it? Like Wayne Gretzky literally holds like almost every single NHL scoring record at one point. Like the way I've seen it is, you have Gretzky in NHL, Babe Ruth in Major League Baseball, and then I know over time there's been like, what was that?
Babe Ruth's number isn't retired across the league.
No. What I'm saying is greatest player. Like most people will say this is the greatest player, but does that qualify their number to be universally retired?
Mm-hmm.
Is the question. 42 again, as great as a player as Jackie Robinson is, it stands for much more than his on-field ability.
Mm-hmm.
Roberto Clemente, same thing. So I think it's different through that. But back with the NBA thing, though, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they should. As much as I love Michael Jordan, and yes, my stuff is behind me over my shoulder. I don't know. I still wouldn't do that, because again, I think you're going down the slope of yourself. Like, where do you stop retiring the numbers universally?
Does football have any?
No, they don't.
Huh.
The NFL seems to be the one that the organizations also hold back on retiring numbers a lot. Like they have their Ring of Honors, which is kind of what they usually use for that. But to retire a number, it's pretty slim pickings for which ones. Like even like with the history the New York Giants have, they only have a handful of numbers retired. Like they don't have a ton of them. The Yankees obviously have like a ton of retired numbers.
Yankees are gonna run out of numbers, and they're gonna have to like start using letters or something. I don't know, because
yeah, well, and look at some of their Judge. Well, 99 fits Judge, right? Since he's such like a big dude and everything like that.
Yeah.
It kind of seems like it fits. But Jason Dominguez is wearing 89. The question is was he gonna continue wearing it? Some of them are picking higher numbers now because they're like, screw it, we're just gonna go complete. Luis Hill wears 81.
Yeah, you can't do 1 through 10 practically, and pretty much any number, except for 0, which Marcus Stroman is wearing, and what was his? Ottavino used to wear 0.
Yeah, and they were the only 2 who have ever worn 0.
Yeah,
Yankees. Because Ottavino was the first one. Like I guess no one thought of it. It was like, well,
I loved that when he did that, because it was obviously because it looked like an ohm.
Yeah, exactly. And one other comment that Roll had as well. I don't mind it on my soccer uniforms, but they have a major corporate sponsor. Like I own Liverpool jersey, but I don't want it on my baseball jerseys. Yeah, I'm not a soccer fan by any stretch of the imagination. I just am aware of their uniform situations. Yes, anyone who knows me knows. I can't do it. Soccer is just not for me. I've tried it. I've given it a legitimate shot. I can't.
It's like you do know it's one of the most difficult sports, right?
I'm gonna hold my comments for that, but
it's a lot. Ed, there's a lot. A soccer pitch is bigger than a football field.
Okay.
And even though you could sub in players often, a lot of them there's like no time clock, and it's 90 minutes.
Well, some part of the time, no real time clock is part of my issue with it. Just stop the clock, man. When it goes out of bounds, stop the clock. When someone gets injured, stop the clock. You can afford it. It's not like I'm sure there's a dude who's there who can stop the clock. It's not. It's not hard. Every other sport does it, man. And don't get me. And yes, listen, I give them a lot of credit. A lot of stamina is required to play soccer.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a lot of light jogging periods in there to catch their breath as well. So it's not like they're running full sprint speed for 60 minutes. 60 minutes because stoppage time gets thrown on at the end, and if no one knows how much time is left, it's a wild guess. But that's also where some of their corruption is coming because let's add on more time. There's a lot of issues I have with soccer.
They also act way more than basketball.
Like, for sure. And I actually
they should get Oscars for their acting.
I will even say that NBA players only started doing that once like the English Premier League got big. I don't remember seeing that back in the day where people were like throwing themselves across the arena just because they got a charging foul. Come on. The most difficult thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball. Period. The end. You're hitting round ball with round bat at that speed and also trying to actually figure out what the pitch is within a millisecond and trying to identify where the pitch is, what the pitch is. And come on, it's just the actual act of it. I'm not saying Major League Baseball players are the greatest athletes out of all professionals. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the difficulty and skill required to play the game of baseball is completely insane.
Boxing?
It is. It's not. No, and boxing's different. Listen, I'm not saying obviously it takes something to fight, but to hit the act of hitting a baseball is the hardest thing that there is. Period. There's nothing that even remotely comes close to it. Other sports are hard. There's difficulty there. But remember what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. The act of actually hitting a baseball.
What about we're gonna go down a rabbit hole. What about a gymnast on the beam?
Hold on, let me change the title there because I actually wrote this here. We're not speaking about. We have moved on to this. We will just go with the generic one. No, I will.
Okay, so you're telling me because the beam is only like 4 inches wide.
Yeah.
And they're flipping on that thing, and they have to make sure that they land on it.
Not claiming that the difficulty is not there. There are levels of difficulty. But again, think of the concept of round bat hitting round ball.
I get it. We've talked about
time.
This.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
I'm not arguing. It's very, very hard to do that. Yes.
And also, the success rate to be considered great, which by the way is not the case anymore,
is 30%. Yes, it's very low, 30%. Correct.
30%. So, what other sport, when you are successful 30% of the time, are you considered great at that sport?
I don't know enough sports.
No, I'm just saying, like,
I don't know the rules of curling, which is one of our favorite sports.
I'm sure there's successful more than 30% of the time. I have no question about
curling looks. I don't know. I think you and I can easily go and start curling right now.
I would love to fucking play curling. Like,
I know we really got to find a curling place.
Dude, just a recreational curling thing. Forget it.
We do. Outlaws curling.
Yes, that'll be the next venture that we'll get into. No, but I'm saying, like, if a quarterback only completed 30% of their passes, like, all right, should be gone. You wouldn't even know his name. If a basketball player only made 30% of their shots, same thing. You'd be laughed out of the place. Listen, it's considered shooting over 35% from three is considered good, let alone like your overall shot percentage. So it is pretty challenging.
Oh, look, Raul just agreed with you.
Raul, playing soccer is hard, and I have tried it, but hitting a 90, 100-mile-per-hour fastball is much harder. And I agree with you, Ed. I tried it in a batting cage. Yes, because you basically don't even see the ball. Like, those of us who don't actually hit that normally, you won't even see it. It's over quicker than that.
Yeah.
And Ben, by the way, that's just fastball. Identify curveball, changeup, splitter, slumio, like we talked earlier, cutter, like it's wild. When you really think about what it takes to hit a baseball, it is just, it bends the mind.
Yeah,
Really, really
I
good.
just want to go on the record saying I agree with you both. I'm just being a devil's advocate.
No, which is fine. I don't mind.
That's
Hey,
the sport I grew up on. So,
yeah,
and
no, you have the conversation. That's fine.
I vividly remember, and I know a softball is different, and a softball does not come as fast as a baseball. It comes at a different angle, all that stuff. So don't come at me, people. I played both sports. I played baseball and softball, so shut up. But I remember in softball practices in high school, they would set up the machine, and he would make it go faster and faster. And every time we made contact, we had to step one step closer to the machine to make sure that our bats were getting there. Because he was like, if you can hit the ball from the machine like 2 feet away from it, then you can hit the ball from the plate. There's no reason. So
Makes me think of dodgeball.
I'm happy to say that I always made it the closest to the machine in high school. Just saying. That was way back when. Way back.
You dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
All
All right. Well, let's
talk about actual baseball.
Yes, let's get to it. That was a fun though discussion there. All right, so let's get back to it. Where the Yanks went ahead and had a successful homestand. First, they welcomed in the Kansas City Royals and took care of them on Monday night by a final of 10-4. Carlos Rodon, who took a no decision, went 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 9 Ks. So a nice start for him there. Took the no decision though because the Yanks did pull away until later in this game. Cousins got the win. He was 2-1 on the season at that time. Gleyber Torres 3 for 5 with an RBI run scored. He had previously mentioned to start the show of Austin Wells was 2 for 5 with his 13th home run of the season, 4 RBIs and a double. Alex Verdugo was 2 for 4 with his 12th home run of the season, 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. So when this whole thing went down, I was, actually no, this wasn't it. It was 2 nights later where the whole fiasco of the Verdugo Dominguez stuff began because he just got called up. Well, he just got called up. This is actually when he first started playing.
This is his first game.
Yeah. So then we're all happy at this time. Yes, the Martian is back. Everything is okay. Everything's peachy. 10-4 win. But no, the Yanks went ahead and took care of another team with a winning record. And what's crazy with this team is that they have a really good record against teams with winning records. It's the teams with shitty records that they seem to find ways to struggle with, which is what drives you completely mad. Or you can look at it that, hey, in the playoffs, they won't be facing any of those teams anymore. So maybe this is actually better. Depends on how you want to spin it. But it was the Tuesday night game where, man, this was not much. So the Yanks did roll out what many of us considered to be their playoff lineup. And this had Dominguez, this had Stanton, Judge, Wells, everyone was in. And they got shut out 5-0. Seth Lugo came into the stadium back in New York and completely shut them down. They had no answers for anything. They scraped together 3 hits on the night. 2 of them were by Gleyber Torres. Fortunately, Marcus Stroman took the loss in this game. His record is 10-8, 5 in the third inning, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, and 2 walks and 4 Ks. But the Yanks they had absolutely nothing in this game. And the offense has struggled for the most part. I mean, the pitching is the one that's kind of corrected itself and has kept us in most of these games. It's the offense is hit or miss night to night. Yeah. And for a while, until things started changing up shortly, Judge and Soto have been ice cold. Or at least they were ice cold at this time. And it shows you what, if those two are, and again, in all fairness, all lineups have kind of built around that. But if you shut down 2 of the best hitters in baseball, if they cool off, it's tough. It's really hard to win at that point. But the Yanks would take the series in a dramatic, and this is where things started getting crazy on the week, where they would take the rubber game of this by a final 4-3 and a walk-off by Jazz Chisholm Jr. in the 10th inning. Luis Gil, though, did get the start in this game. 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. Luke Weaver picked up his 5th win of the season. His record at that time was 5-3. But Juan Soto, 1 for 5 with his 39th home run of the season, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. Now, well, actually, I'll get through this before we get back to Juan Soto. Austin Wells, who did not start this game, pinch hit, sac fly to tie the game later in this game. But Jazz Chisholm Jr., I mentioned 1 for 4 with a walk-off RBI single.
His first walk off ever, right?
Yeah, that was his first one ever. And so I guess we could start with Soto because in that at bat, he fouled the ball off his foot pretty badly, and he was hopping around, and it was a lot. And I was at this game, and my heart was in my throat because I'm like, this can't happen. Like, no, not now.
So, this game was on Prime.
This was a Prime game, yeah.
Okay, so you know how I feel about games. No, I don't think it was Prime. I guess it was Prime. Whatever. It wasn't the Yankees announcers, cause you know how I'm always like hating how other announcers announce Yankee games. Mm-hmm. Whoever the person was, I know it wasn't a Yankee announcer who said it that I heard, was like, or maybe it was the next day recapping it. Oh, Juan Soto is really being so dramatic about the ball being hit off his foot, and then he goes and hits a home run right after it. So obviously he wasn't that hurt. Like, dude, that was the only part of his foot that wasn't covered that it hit. Like, literally, the ball found the only like naked part of his foot.
Yeah, that's an asinine comment for that person to make because it's just like
when they do that.
He was clearly in a lot of pain, and guess what? He sucked it up. He was down for a while, also.
He was. It took him, I would say, a good like almost 10 minutes.
Yeah, he was down for a minute there.
Yeah,
and he hit a bomb, and that was a huge hit at that point in the game because it looked like the Yanks were going to get shut down again.
Mm-hmm.
But he got it together. Hits his home run. It was the only hit he had of the night as well. But man, like I said, my heart was in my throat because I'm like, we can't lose this guy. And I always think back to Jermaine Dye in the ALDS when the Yanks had played them. He fouls the ball off his knee, literally broke his leg. Every single time I see some shit like that, my mind goes right back to it. I'm like, no, this can't. But thankfully, it wasn't the case. Again, Jazz Chisholm Jr., good situational hitting because the shift was on. But the infield drawn in, and he went ahead and shot for the hole between shortstop and third base, which he can do. He can go all fields.
Yeah.
And his comments after the game, and we're going to hear about this again the next two nights. He has been in awe of the Yankee crowd, and like now that it's hyping up, and like we're getting walk-off hits, and the pennant race is well and alive. Like we're right in the middle of it now, and
we're right on top of it.
yeah. But it's just the crowd is, you could feel it when you're there now. Like there's definitely a buzz, and it's like getting warmed up for the playoffs. And he's just like anticipating, like, I can't. It's not even October yet, and this is remember this guy played in Miami.
Yeah.
So when there's like 6 people in the crowd and nobody's even paying attention, those 6 people aren't even watching the game anyway. And
they're rooting for the other team.
Yeah, they're usually rooting for the road opponent anyway. So if you actually get a walk-off hit down there, it's like, okay. It's like whatever. They're pissed actually, and they leave. They curse you out and walk out the door.
Aww. Miami, I love you. I'm going there next weekend.
Oh no, listen, Miami's fantastic. Otherwise, I mean that's it. But like as far as it goes with that. By the way, one quick note on the previous game, the smackdown by Seth Lugo. I meant to mention this by Katie Sharp. That is the first game in Yankees history in which the lineup had no walks, no extra base hits, and 14 plus strikeouts. Okay, historic.
Historic. When we talk about the first time in Yankee history, they have a long history, over 100 years of playing the sport. Yeah. So when it's the first time in history, especially with that statistic, it's not a good look.
No, it's really not. Like their historic futility is not good. Now I am happy that I was not at that game.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Now I do have a stat about Cole Reagans. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah.
He was the starting pitcher. So he leads the American League with 211 strikeouts this season. and he's 2 behind the MLB leader, Chris Sale. So we knew this was going to be a challenging game to begin with, but like for all of the Yankees key starters that will probably be the starters in playoffs to not get any hits until the bottom, well, not until the bottom of the 10th, but like until pretty much the very end of the game, for 2 games in a row. It's not great.
It's not what you want.
It's not what you want.
It is definitely not what you want. Yeah. So this was also the 9/11 game, by the way. So there was, a little ceremony before that and everything. The Yanks did always, they did a solid job, with everything that was going there. And there's always that like feeling in the air in New York City for any of us who like, were alive during that time and experienced that and everything like that.
Yeah, I want to say 2 things about that too, since that game was within this week. I don't know about you, but every year when that day comes and the weather is the way it was this year, it really brings me back to that year.
Yeah.
Because the day that happened, it was a beautiful day out, and I'll never forget. It's our generation's version of like when JFK was assassinated. Like we're always going to remember that day, unfortunately. And then the other thing that blew my mind is that it's been 23 years, I think it is.
Yeah.
And it seems like maybe only 5. So it's just like scary how fast time goes by. In 23 years, well, in less than 23 years at this point, we're going to be talking about the pandemic that we went through. Like,
yes.
And it's going to feel like yesterday, and one of us might have COVID 23 years from now. And it's like having a cold by then, hopefully. But like, I don't know. I was blown away when I heard that it had been 23 years. And I should remember because my nephew was born on September 1st of that year, my godson. So I should remember that it's been 23 years because he's 23 years old. But I also can't believe he's 23. So, but yeah, I think what stuck out to me this year was that it was such a beautiful day, and it really looked and felt like the day that it happened too. So for anybody that, like that day is a hard day for you every year because you knew some folks that were lost that day, I just hope that, every year you're able to take care of yourself, especially the years where like you feel it extra. So just want to name that. I'm a social worker. I have to say stuff like I naturally say stuff like that. I don't have to. I naturally do.
Feels like an awkward transition to go back to the baseball. But
well, you know what? Things happen in life. We're just addressing it. We're acknowledging it.
No, of course,
we are still talking about baseball as well.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, like with everything with 9/11, at least from New York's perspective, though, there is a tie into, like, with the Mets, like the Mike Piazza home run against the Braves, this was like a big moment. It was almost like sports are back and everything like that. And with the Yankees, they were in the World Series that year, and a lot of people go back to like the comebacks and stuff like that. And they were showing those highlights, and actually, I was kind of explaining to Angie while we were eating our bells. While they were showing us the highlights on the screen, I was explaining to bringing her context to exactly that whole situation. She was kind of taken aback by that whole thing, because
she wasn't in New York yet.
No, she wasn't even close to being in New York.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely. I mean, people from New York, people from Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and people that live or work in or near the Pentagon, like I'm sure, are the folks that will remember it the most vividly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, remember, she has a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
Than here. 7 years later, she got here.
Dang, that blows my mind too. I mean, I know she didn't always live here, but
yeah,
I thought she would have been here by then. Wow.
No, she's always taken into like Yankees history and everything like that too. So like the whole thing that was going on, like that was like crazy comebacks in that World Series and everything.
And even the president throwing the first pitch, and how like there were snipers on the roofs of nearby buildings.
And he threw that with Kevlar on.
And he threw a strike.
He did, and when he was warming up, that whole story that Jeter spoke to him was like, "Listen, don't bounce it. Don't bounce it. They're gonna boo you. Don't bounce
50 cent it. Don't 50 cent it.
Yeah, don't."
And he threw from the mound too, right? He threw from
yeah, he did. No, he like, and it was like a perfect strike, and you're like, wow, okay. It's an interesting story, that whole thing. And again, explaining to someone from a different perspective is always interesting. But from our Katie Sharp, teammates, actually teammates with 300 plus. Oh, sorry. Did you have it?
I did later. Go ahead though.
Oh, but that was for this game. Well,
I know. I had tweets like at the end, just in general. Go ahead.
Well, teammates each with 305 plus total bases and 115 plus walks in a season MLB history. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge now, and previously in 1931, Gehrig and Ruth.
Yeah.
So, just to put in perspective what kind of a season these two are having together, it is wild. And also, this is the first time since June 23rd, 1979, that the Yankees and Red Sox both had walk-off wins in extra innings on the same day. So always into that whole kind of thing. And just a quote from Jazz Chisholm, I think it was in the 8th inning, and this is what he said. We got a strikeout at the end of the inning, and the whole crowd erupted. I was wide-eyed like, oh, this is sick. Like, it ain't even October yet. I can't wait. That was on Brian Hope's tweet. That was from that night as well. So
I just want to name that, there are teams, and not just Major League Baseball, I'm talking teams in general in Major League Sports, that say their fans are the best, the loudest, blah, blah, blah.
And they all do. Yeah, everyone.
They all do. Yeah. But Jazz Chisholm just proved that when New York fans say that about their team, specifically the Yankees, they're telling the truth, because he just became a Yankee and he's never experienced just how loud it gets at that stadium.
Yeah, and over time there has been people who have, and I'm going to be honest, there was years where I was critical of the new Yankee Stadium crowd because it just kind of felt like it needed to find itself. Like 2009, the playoffs and stuff, and the pennant race against the Red Sox that year. Like, yes, it got loud at moments and stuff like that.
But I lost my voice during the ALCS and the World Series, and it was. I'd never heard the stadium as loud as it was then, but that was also my first ALCS and World Series to be at. But like, it was really loud in 2009.
No, it was in the playoffs, of course.
Yeah,
but it was. I'm just talking about like just in general,
regular
like
season.
Just, not sensing the moment. Like when the moment happens, and when we get into, talking about the moment shortly, like that you can sense it. If a crowd senses the moment and starts cheering, it isn't just reactive.
Yeah.
But once the thing happens, yes, you can erupt. But it's like when you're kind of like willing it to happen. That is a thing.
When it gets all hype, like in 96, 98, 99, like, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Like when the soda is flying, the beer is flying in the stands when something happens. Like, things like that. But the next night, though, we'll be welcoming the Red Sox on Thursday night, and the Yanks would take care of them by a walk-off in extras again by a final 2-1. Nestor Cortez he had a good start, though. No decision here. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 9 Ks. Clay Holmes did pick up the win. He was 3-5 on the season at that point. Gleyber Torres 1 for 5 with his 13th home run of the season. And the Yanks wouldn't score. Nobody was really scoring for quite some time until Juan Soto's walk-off in the 10th inning, which, by the way, was his first walk-off as a Yankee.
And only his second.
His second, because the other one was with the Nationals.
Yep. So speaking of the Nationals, the Yankees had consecutive walk-off wins for the first time since May 8th and 9th of 2021 against his former team.
Circular whole thing. Just, it keeps going, right?
Yep.
Just finds its way. But Juan Soto was another one, though, who had a lot of comments about it. Like, he was just saying how, like, it was extra. And this is Yankees Red Sox, right? So you would kind of somewhat assume this more than Yankees Royals, right? Like, it's already, like, in the air with the Red Sox. And the Red Sox aren't, like, terrible. Like, they're on the outside looking into the playoff picture. But still, like, they're not totally dead and buried just yet. At least start of this series. But yeah, it was another one who went the opposite way, with the walk-off here as well. So just again showing what a complete hitter he is. But the Gleyber Torres home run, by the way, which was like a wall scraper, would have been out of one ballpark, and thankfully this was it. That was the one that he happened to hit it in. So I guess that brings us to Friday night, which was the one that seemed to have gotten like a lot of attention out of this whole series, where the Yanks would edge the Red Sox by a final 5-4. Clark Schmidt took a no decision. He lasted 5 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks. Mark Leiter Jr. picks up the win in this game, which put him to 4-5. He did virtually nothing during this, and this is a weird scoring stat, how baseball wins and losses work, which is why a lot of us have kind of like wins and losses. You take it with a grain of salt. He came in when it was 2-0, left it when it was 4-0, but he happened to be the pitcher of record at the time when Judge would come in with his theatrics and everything like that and give the Yanks the lead. So weird quirk there. But Luke Weaver picked up the save, going 2 innings, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, Luke.
Aaron Judge, 2 for 4. Like I mentioned, his 52nd home run, which was a grand slam, 4 RBIs, 1 walk, run scored. Anthony Rizzo was 2 for 4 on the night with a double. Gleyber Torres 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored. So back to us, a lot to talk about in this game because Yanks were down 4-0. They scratch across a run, and the crowd instantly got hyped, right? Like we were on the board, and again, Yankees Red Sox Friday night in the middle of a pennant race, you can kind of feel it. And I think, Lisa, we were talking about it earlier. The second, Alex Verdugo put together a nice walk that was in there. Gleyber got the base hit, a single to get us on the board. And by the way, this was also the Apple TV game, which was where we definitely did. But actually, the guy, I heard the call, the announcer that they did have calling the game did do a solid job. I got to give them credit because I've been critical of Apple TV broadcasts in the past. But the second Soto drew that walk, the crowd stood up immediately. Everyone knew it. And this was the moment, right? This was going to decide how the hell this game was going to go. God forbid Judge bangs into a double play. It would have took the air out of the building, and then you never know what's going to happen. He goes up 2-0 in that count. You can just sense it. The second he makes contact, the place completely erupted. And there's been videos, and the Yanks even put out a theatrical movie version of it and everything. And this was the comeback of the season, to date, at least so far. We'll see. Hopefully there are even better ones. But to me, this was definitely the comeback of the season. And what a night. And Luke Weaver, by the way, going about 40 pitches and going 2 innings. Lisa, how have things changed since our last show when we were screaming about Clay Holmes?
We were screaming about Clay Holmes today. We did not want him to come into today's game.
No, we just don't want to see him at all. But
oh my God.
the fact that Boone went with Luke Weaver for 6 outs.
I love it, and I love how hyped he got as well when he saved the game. He's been showing more emotion lately, and I recently told you on their question of the days, they always save him for last because he always answers the question in the most roundabout ways, and he's very just he seems to be a quirky guy, right? So for him to show the amount of emotion that he did in the last couple of games that he was the closer of, I love it. I'm gonna steal a Katie Sharp tweet before you do, because I have one for him that's for this game that I know you have too.
I have it on the screen too, so go ahead.
Because we both love Katie Sharp. So Yankees who have had 6 out saves with 5+ strikeouts. There's only been 2.
You're not asking me the question. I have this up on my screen right now.
I know you do. So Luke Weaver, obviously, on the 13th versus the Red Sox. And who was the other one, Ed?
Goose Gossage on May 23rd of 1982 versus the Minnesota Twins.
Yes, sir.
And this is also since saves became an official stat in 1969. Also, another Sharpie, if you
Good
will.
steal it. Good steal
No,
my
go ahead. Go ahead, go with it then.
It's the Aaron Judge one?
Yes.
Yes.
This is nuts.
This is insane. Players with 50 plus home runs, 30 plus doubles, 120 plus walks, and 130 plus RBIs in a season in Major League history. Aaron Judge has done it this year. Barry Bonds did it in 2001.
With assistance?
Yep. With an asterisk.
Yes.
And Babe Ruth did it twice, 2 years in a row, 1920 and 1921.
Oh, I mixed into my things, by the way. I had saved a meme that was in here. That in Fenway Park, there's a sign that they have behind the plate that says kids eat free when Red Sox win.
Oh, yes, I've seen that sign. Yep.
So did you see the one that someone had posted on Friday night after Judge hit the grand slam, though?
No, what did it say?
Below that, it has a picture. I'm going to send this to you. Of Judge kind of like smirking, and it says "F those kids."
Which is so anti-Judge, but
but that's what makes it great, because Judge would never in a million years say that.
No, he would not. No, he would not.
That's what I loved about it so much.
So, I mean, we're gonna get to the next game, but I know we got to talk about the memes that came out after the comments in the next game, right?
Oh, there's plenty to talk about in the next game.
Okay, let's go.
They're not great. So the Yanks would have all this momentum, 3 games up on the Orioles, their biggest lead since June, and not too much with it, at least at that point, because they got smacked 7-1. Garrett Cole took the loss. He's now 6-5, 4 1/3, 5 hits, 7 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks. Aaron Judge 1 for 4 with a double. And that's basically stat-wise all the hell we got to talk about. So let's take it to the top of the 4th inning with the Yanks up 1-0.
Oh boy!
And 1 out and nobody on. Okay, just to really paint the picture for this. Rafael Devers comes up to the plate. Okay? Nobody on.
The bane of Garrett Cole's existence.
Yes, he has 8 home runs and 13 hits. Okay, for him. So he has owned Garrett Cole. There is no doubt about that. No sugarcoating it, anything. Okay? He throws up the 4 fingers for an intentional walk.
He goes,
yes. Which, whatever. But in this situation, with a 1-0 lead in the 4th inning of a regular season game, that's completely ridiculous. Okay? He walks Tyler O'Neill after that, which is part of the problem, right? Like, so if let's just play devil's advocate, say he does that. He gets Tyler O'Neill to bang into a double play right after that. Nobody's saying one word about this.
Mm-hmm.
No one gives a shit. They move on. End of story. But the Red Sox would get 3 runs that inning. Then it would tack on 4 later, pull away, and that would be the end of that. Now, Garrett Cole hit Rafael Devers earlier in the game, his first at bat. And he was ahead 0-1, hits him with a cutter. And Alex Cora gets into how that was on purpose. Really? Up 0-1 in the count, and you're going to drill the guy now? No, Alex, it's not. You know that. I know that. Anyone who's watched baseball for probably more than 10 minutes knows that.
He's just trying to hype up his team.
Oh, he is. But that's just moronic, though. Like, just the way it comes out. It just makes you look like an idiot. Like you're wearing a Red Sox dunce cap on your head. Okay? If you actually believe that.
A lot of people who are their fans wear that.
No, I'm saying the dunce cap. So then they would go ahead and take their shot at Judge later in the game, and they missed, and they let it go, which is like because the moment has passed, right? Like we're not going to keep this going, even though it's Yankees Red Sox. Now, fast forward to the postgame when Aaron Boone is asked about this. He says, "I actually would have wished that," and I'm going to paraphrase here, that Cole would have done that in that situation. That they did talk about how they were going to handle Devers going into this game, being the history that it is. But you didn't even try to pitch around them, didn't anything. Just throw up the four fingers and that's it. Now, it's one thing if first base was open with like a runner on second or something like that. But to start off in with no outs, it's a bad look. You don't ever put the tying run on base.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you just don't. And then you bring the go-ahead run to the plate. Like that's plus Tyler O'Neill's he's got 30 home runs, now 31. So it's a really stupid decision. Austin Wells, when asked about it, seemed like he had no idea that was coming. So that was extremely curious. And then Garrett Cole admitted he regretted doing it, obviously, because the shit hit the fan once. That was instant momentum change once that happened, right? Like riding off Friday night's win, walked them off the night before that. You're up 2-0 in the series, and this is the kind of shit you do. And then back to Boone saying that he should have been more assertive with Cole and like shut that down before it happened. I'm sorry, you're the fucking manager of the team, are you not?
This is the same guy though that there's been more than one time when he would go to pull Garrett Cole out of a game and Garrett Cole's like, and he listens to him.
No, but hey, listen, in all fairness though, there's a famous moment where Mike Mussina told Joe Torre to get his ass back in the dugout.
Yeah.
I can respect that though. Like when it's the heat of the moment and stuff like that, right? That was none of this that was going on right now. It was just like, hey, you're the manager of the team. This should have been this. You said you discussed it, but you can veto it. You can shut it down, right? Or did you tell Garrett Cole, like, hey, you can walk him if you'd like? With that situation, I find that highly unlikely. That was the way the discussion went. I think Cole did it. There was virtually no consultation about this, that it was actually going to happen in that situation. And then Austin Wells was also caught off guard by this as well. Like, it just, none of this adds up.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was a very weird situation. And then I had heard that Nick Swisher also was talking about, like, oh, that can be, that can change momentum on a season. Dude, calm down. Let's pump the brakes on that. Right? Like, I don't think there's all of that. But next time the Yankees do face the Red Sox in a big situation, Garrett Cole is pitching, this is all going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that is not until next year or anything like that, because, things would have gone awry if that happens. But it's just a bad look all around. It was a really stupid situation, the way it played out and everything like that. And I was really curious to know if it was going to be any kind of like effect on today's game going into it. Do we have anything else we want to discuss regarding Saturday's game?
Yeah, I have a stat about Masataka Yoshida. He has driven in 12 runs in 39 at-bats over 11 games versus the Yankees this season.
Oh, yeah. Seinfeld night one off of Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest ones right there. Unfortunately, there was a list of the worst losses of the season for the Yankees. There is. There's probably a good 3 to 5 list of absolute gut punches.
Most of them involve Clay Holmes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. He's blown 11 saves.
Yep.
So far.
Is that another first in Yankees history?
Or
not yet.
I'm pretty sure that is. I didn't know. There's nobody who's blown more than 11 saves in a season for the Yankees. No.
Congratulations, Clay Holmes.
Yes. All right. So that would take us to earlier today, where the Yanks did rebound, though, and squashed the whole thing we were just discussing.
Mm-hmm.
At least for the time being, because again, I guarantee you this will come back next season when they do face each other. But the Yanks did rebound nicely by a final of 5-2. Carlos Rodon picked up his 15th win, career high 15th win of the season. 15-9, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. Tommy Kahnle actually got his first save of the season. Gleyber Torres was 2 for 5 with his 14th home run of the year, 2 runs scored. Aaron Judge 1 for 2 with his 53rd home run of the season, 2 RBIs, a run scored, and 2 walks. Because yes, I'm sure after they saw him hit 2 home runs in 3 games, they were like, enough of this shit. We're not pitching to this guy anymore. He's back. So let's calm down. Giancarlo Stanton was also 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs, a walk, and a double. And Oswaldo Cabrera, who got to start at first base today, was 2 for 4 on the day. That home run by Judge.
Monster.
Off the center field Pepsi Lounge glass was
the top of the glass.
The top of the glass.
It went 112.1 miles per hour and it went 445 feet.
Wowzer.
That was his when he hit that was his career high 132nd RBI, and he's the 4th Yankee to have that many in a season since 1962.
And Aaron Judge has reached base 300 times this season, the first Yankee to do so since Mickey Mantle, who did it 318 times. So he's still got some there. In 1957, which was not Katie Sharp, that was Brian Hope. So there are some any numbers that go along with Judge are just completely bonkers for the season. Like, he is arguably having a better season than he did in 2022, which is really hard to imagine if that's the case. And he's still got 2 weeks to go.
And he was out for part of the season. I mean, not out. He was in a slump, rather, for the month of April.
Yes, April. Just imagine if he had a mediocre April. Not even a great April. Let's just say he had a mediocre April. Just
he'd
completely.
Probably be well past the 62 now.
Yeah, we might even be talking Bonds territory.
Yeah, legally.
At that point. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. But yeah, Yanks take 3 out of 4 from the Red Sox. Nice rebound, nice homestand as well. They go 5-2 on a homestand, which is pretty damn solid. Before they head out west for their last road trip of the regular season, which is not an easy one. I mean, I know that they're facing the Mariners and the A's, but West Coast trips, especially this late, are kind of unusual. So we'll see where that goes. We'll touch base on that in a minute again. But we do have our awards of the week that we do like to give away. Top of the heap hitter of the week. Lisa, who do you have?
Is there ever anybody else?
Is there?
I mean, I'm sure you can pick somebody else. I picked Aaron Judge.
Yes.
Did you pick the same?
I'm going to give an honorable mention since I agree with you. Aaron Judge was the slam dunk one there. Well, go ahead. You can give the Judge stats. I will give. I'm probably gonna surprise you with this one, but go ahead.
No, I know based on you stuttering right now who it is, because that was my honorable mention, but I won't say who it is. I want to make sure it was yours.
I don't even want to say it, but go ahead.
Well, because you are like fumbling your words, I know exactly who it is.
Because I can't believe I'm about to say it. But.
Yeah, I know. So Aaron Judge's stats real quick for the week. 333 average, 1.092 OPS, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 3 runs, 8 hits, 6 walks. His on-base percentage was .467, and his slugging was a .625. Who was your honorable mention, or who did you pick, I should say?
So Judge was Judge was obviously the.
Go ahead, stop stalling.
Judge is the correct answer. Let's just say that. Gleyber Torres.
I knew it was him.
I don't even want to say it because I was actually looking to pull up the video of the play on Friday night with him when he forgot how to play second base for a minute. Or when you stand by this, like in this area, what you're supposed to do when the ball's hit near you. But you got to give the Devil their due. So over the last 7 games, Gleyber is hitting 323 with a 364 on base percentage and a .516 slug. He has 5 RBIs, 2 home runs. That's 10 for 31, 6 runs scored, and 2 walks. So anyone who's listened to us knows how much he completely drives me batshit crazy.
Including today.
I mean, it never ends.
At bat today.
But he has been hitting for a good stretch
He
now.
has. Ever since they put him in leadoff, he's been doing really, really consistently well.
Yes, and it was around the time when he got pulled out of the game, and finally Boone had some cojones there for a minute, and shut it down, which is long overdue. But I guess better late than never.
Yep.
All right. So King of the Hill pitcher of the week,
Who do you have, Eddie?
Luke Weaver.
That was my special shout out.
Luke Weaver, from like you had mentioned, the emotion he has shown, and it's something that we just haven't seen. I mean, listen, Tommy Kahnle has enough emotion for probably the entire ball club. But Luke Weaver, though, I just didn't know he had this in him. I'm going to be honest. I didn't.
Yeah.
And really think about where Luke Weaver's come from. He was a late season addition last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, a random starter he threw out there at shitty numbers coming from the Reds. And they have turned him into a pretty damn effective relief pitcher.
And like so unassuming looking. I talked about that earlier today.
Yeah.
He even said that when an Uber driver driving him to the stadium asks him what he does there, he goes, "Well, I don't like to lie, so I tell them I'm a pitcher, but they never believe me because." Like he knows he looks like an 18-year-old. He knows he's like $150 soaking wet. Like you just gotta. I love it. That's what I'm so happy for him. Like I hope he keeps this up. I hope that he continues to just like be calm, cool, and collected and get the job done. I really, really like it.
Yeah, and listen, relief pitching is volatile, right? Like we discussed. Like that's part of the reason why Mariano Rivera is considered how incredible he was, because he did it for as long as he did. Relief pitchers don't historically do it. They flame in and flame out really easily. So
Chapman.
And no, Chapman is a lot. Hey, listen, even Raul, who is watching us, he's a Mets fan. He'll tell you Edwin Diaz, another one. Like it just happens. You can have a great season, you can have not so great season. It's really difficult to maintain consistency as a relief pitcher. So, I'm just hoping Luke Weaver's found it, because the Yanks have had to, as Aaron Boone put it, get creative with the back end of the bullpen. Mm-hmm. And they're basically going matchups, but it seems like Luke Weaver is he is in the circle of trust.
Yes.
He's in the Aaron Boone circle of trust there, right? So is Tommy Kahnle. Tim Hill is also in that. He's also been really good for a while now. So we'll see. And hey, who knows? Maybe Holmes finds his way back into the circle of trust. Mm-hmm. I just don't need him to be the closer again. Like, he's been effective his last 2 times out. I'm not going to gloss over it. As much as I wanted to mention, I was like fumbling on speaking of Gleyber Torres. Clay Holmes has had 2 good outings. They were both in the 7th and 8th innings as well. Mm-hmm. So it kind of lends to believe like the 9th inning is not the same as the other innings. All right, so that brings us to the aforementioned West Coast trip the Yanks will start on. I just wanted to get in a quick comment by Raul as well, because he was dropped this one here. It is where the Yankees have a very late season West Coast games against the Mariners and A's. I don't know if it's because of the balanced schedule, but to me, it is very weird. Yeah, it is odd. By this time I would be celebrating that late night Yankees was done. Late night Yankees, yes, Lisa. Late night Yankees is not quite done just yet.
Gazook.
So, what do we have for the Yankees Mariners upcoming series? And one of my favorite ballparks in all of baseball, T-Mobile Park. Grasshoppers will be had.
Well, the first thing we have is a lot of nights of Lisa falling asleep on her couch because it's such a late game. So that's the first thing we have. Don't love that, but my couch is very comfortable, so I'm not mad. So we have a day off tomorrow because they have to travel all the way to Seattle. And then on Tuesday, they are going to be playing against Brian Wu. He is a righty. He has an 8-2 record, a 2.38 ERA, and 82 strikeouts on the season. He'll be up against one of my favorite new Yankees, Luis Gil, who's a righty with a 13-6 record, 3.18 ERA, and 156 strikeouts on the season. And then on Wednesday, why do I have it listed as Tuesday in my notes? It's Wednesday. Bryce Miller will be playing for the Mariners, and he is. Oh, hold on. He is a righty with an 11-8 record, 3.12 ERA, and 158 strikeouts on the season. He'll be playing against Nestor Cortez Jr., a lefty with a 9-10 record, 3.90 ERA, and 156 strikeouts, same amount as Luis Gil. And then on Thursday, the 19th, Logan Gilbert will be up for the Mariners. He's a righty with a 7-11 record, 3.24 ERA, and 198 strikeouts. And he'll be up against Clark Schmidt, our righty, with a 5-3 record, 2.43 ERA, and 74 strikeouts on the season.
Yeah, and I can't wait for the grasshopper segment as well, because you know it's coming.
Can't wait for the grasshopper segment.
I'm gonna have my flashbacks to that as well. Maybe I'll even repost the video of me eating them. I'm pretty sure.
I think you totally should post that video, even though it's really gross.
It is. It's a very unique experience.
Hold on. We have a food review.
Yes, actually, we do have a food review that we can touch on before this. The Sweet Spot, which is served in the 300 section right by the freight elevators that are there. Well, Lisa, though, you've had this how many times?
Too many. I had it when they did the bowl and the burrito, and I used to get the burrito, but now they switched it exclusively to the bowl. But the woman who I have to find out her name, she is so sweet. Go to that booth for the really sweet woman who works there and the delicious food. I put Ed onto it today. He finally had it in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month today. And unfortunately, the lady thought he got the same order as me, so he got the veggie version because I don't eat steak. But he's going to try it again with steak. And despite it not having steak, which is one of Ed's favorite things, he loved it anyway. So it is so delicious, folks. So delicious. And the woman who makes it, I think she makes it taste even more delicious because she's just such a sweetheart and she serves it with so much love. You have to go check out that booth.
Well, you also had the green salsa today.
I did. I was a big girl today.
Yeah, you did, and you were into it.
I did. I liked it. I will be getting it the next time.
So,
yes.
There you go. And I had that mixed with the habanero, which I know I would not I'd not recommend to Lisa because I knew that would have burned her face off, and we don't need to have that happen. So, yeah, you get a chance. Sweet Spot though in the 300 level at the Yankee Stadium. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff.
It's basically it's a burrito bowl with when you order it with the meat and steak and plátano, maduros, and it's just so tasty. Oh my gosh! So and there's other stuff in there too, plus the sauces. They have 4 different hot sauces you can put on it.
Yes, and I'm going to try the other 2 that I didn't try today.
Yeah.
Next time. But, all right, so that will do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us as always.
Oh yes.
Yes, for those who there was a whole thing about that. We'll get into that next time. But thanks for joining us as always. If you're joining us on the Facebook live stream, be sure to check out the Empire 161 Show Facebook group where we drop lineups and highlights, all other kinds of stuff of happenings around baseball. Check out Pop Culture Pros and PopCulturePros.com because that's who we are presented by. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to Pop Culture Pros or wherever you found your audio-only podcast. Subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. Lisa and I will be back next week. Same thing, recapping and discussing the week in Yankees baseball. No, we're not. All right.
Lisa's going to be in Miami next week.
Yes, we will figure it out, though. All right. Who knows?
Lisa might not be here. Ed might have a guest host, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, actually. Maybe a friend of the show, Jerome Schnell, might show.
Uh-oh.
We'll have to talk into that. But enjoy the week. Make sure you get some caffeine ready for some late-night Yankees because you're going to need it. We've got a lot of it coming up, though. So let's go Yankees. 3 games up on the O's. Let's increase that lead before next week. I will see you next week. Peace.
Yes.
If I can make it